I want to take you back to something you mentioned in the beginning of the interview. On 26 Feb 1993, when you were at the site of the World Trade Center bombing, which is often forgotten now, your senior man, Henry Miller, said, they did it wrong, but in your career, Niels, you're going to be back here.
Yeah.
8 years later, you were back there. At ground zero, this is how you've described the visual. You said it. There were massive mountains of intertwined steel, dust, and concrete. Everything was pulverized. It was very hard to mentally compute the visual. There were fighter jets circling the entire wreckage. I looked at the destroyed Century 21 store with half of its neon signs still flickering, and I thought, this is a war zone. When the South Tower was struck, Howard Stern on air said, we all knew this was going to happen. You mentioned the training manuals had a picture of the World Trade Center with the bullseye with the target on it. Henry Miller predicted it in 8 years back. It said 1993. It was not a matter of if, it was a matter of when. Without getting into the politics, maybe, but to what extent do you feel was 9/11 preventable? Do you think it was a consequence of ignorance, incompetence, or do you think that's being a bit too harsh because no one could have predicted attacks of this scale?
You know, Shalaj, that's a powerful, tough question, because my faith in leadership is wavering, and it has been for a very long time. You know, I just read an article recently about air travel, and, you know, there was threats for years. And, you know, when you look at Israel, El Al Airlines, they for years have reinforced their planes, armed agents, whatever. Regardless, again, of politics, this and that, whatever, they were so proactive from so far back. Why weren't we? Even now, 21 years after 9/11, I just flew the other day. And on my flight, the procedure is in American air travel, when the pilot has to go to the bathroom, they open up this little door. The stewardess or flight attendant will stand with a cart near the bathroom. The pilot will come out of the door. She'll block for him so he can get in and out of the bathroom, okay? Now, I don't want to sound like a bombastic idiot, but I'm a fairly large human being, okay? If I'm a hijacker, there is no freaking way that 5 foot tall, 99-pound flight attendant is stopping me with a cart from getting that pilot and either grabbing the door beforehand or whatever it may be. She's not stopping me from getting in that cockpit. If for approximately $35,000, the airlines can reinforce with a secondary door passway so no one can get through. The pilot needs to come out and relieve himself. He does, but nobody, I don't care if they're 350 pounds and jacked like a bodybuilder, they're not getting through. Why haven't we done that? And with all of the threats that were pre-93 and post-93, leading up to 2001, why weren't these measures taken? I heard a wise man once say, if you want an answer to any question in the world, follow the money trail, okay? And I hate to sound so jaded, but it comes down to dollars and cents. Why is it that we can find billions of dollars for this and relieve this country and aid to here and aid to, how about aid in our own damn country? And I'm not trying to say this to be exclusionary to folks coming here, but if we can't protect our own house, how is it that we can protect anyone else? And how is it that 21 years after 9/11, knowing that these aircraft were used as weapons, those were weapons of mass destruction. They killed 2,977 people. And I know there's some idiot congresswoman out there right now trying to, list the lives of the hijackers as victims. They died, but they were not victims. So when you list victims of 9/11, you list innocents. Those guys chose to kill themselves. They're not a victim. But the tactics they utilized 21 years ago could almost be easily done. And that frightens me. So the leadership of my country is not protecting us properly. I had an incident with a high level commander in the fire department 2 months after 9/11. I was filling in the commands down at South Street Seaport, Engine 4, Ladder 15. Wonderful group of guys. They got hit so hard on that day. They lost 14 of their members. So I took a voluntary detail to go down there and just help out. And this big chief comes up and says, all right, enough of this messing around and mourning and whatever. You guys need to get back out on building inspections and this and this and this. And you know, but we had families of the 14 dead guys coming every day with their children. And they wanted to talk about their dad or their husband, or they just wanted to sit in his firehouse and feel his presence. But this upper level commander wanted us so bad to go out and do inspections to generate revenue for the city coffers, right? Because if we give out a violation or summons, that's a lot of money for the mayor. Now, when we got to 9/11, the morning of 9/11, the guys like myself who came in as the buildings had already gone down, we had no equipment. Nothing. They handed us 69-cent hardware store painter's masks that were saturated with sweat and dirt and dust and debris within 5 minutes. The biggest fire department in the world at the time, I think Tokyo may be bigger, had all these years to plan from 1993 on. And aside from the equipment that was from a day-to-day, used by the platoons on duty, but we did not have a cachet of backup, we call them Scott air masks, the big air packs, Halligan bars to break in doors, all of these things where if I'm in charge, I go, hey, you know what? We need to have like 2,000 of these equipment sets for 2,000 guys responding in at a minimal, staged throughout the city just in case. And how about an extra 50 trucks? Biggest fire department in the world had to beg, borrow, and steal for fire trucks after they destroyed so many of ours. To me, that's incompetence. So this chief, I said to him, I said, excuse me, sir. Now, I was a firefighter at the time, the lowest rank. I got 12 years on the job. I drive the truck. I break down the door. That's my job. This guy's the big guy, right? Commands everything. I said, sir, please tell me 60 days after 9/11 that you guys have obtained the equipment that we need for the next disaster when it comes. And this was actually about a day before the air crash on November 12th. And I remember it so well because we were actually at the memorial service for my friend John. So I might have hit him with this question on like the 11th or the 10th. I said, please tell me 2 months later, after the worst tragedy in the world, that we have a cachet of equipment waiting for us for the next one that's coming. And he, excuse me, what's your rank? Firefighter? I said, that's right, I'm a fireman. I'm a fireman with 12 years of experience. I said, but I know leadership. I was a sergeant in the Army. Please tell me, sir, that we are equipped and ready for the next one. I said, you're so effing worried about us going back on inspection duties to make some money for the city. How about protecting your men? He, you're out of line, fireman, got in his car and drove away. That scares me when a guy like that's in charge. And what scares me even more is on a national basis, we have some yo-yos running things. And I'm not saying, and this has nothing to do with political parties. I'm an independent because as my Irish grandmother always said, politicians are just like dirty diapers. They're full of shit and they stink. And it's true. They're all phonies. But please tell me that you're looking out for my safety and my family's safety and hopefully, God willing, my future grandchildren's safety. And Shalaj, I don't know. I'm concerned because I really don't know what we're doing right now to prevent the next big one. But just as Henry Miller said it, and I hope I don't live long enough to see it, there is another one coming. I'm not sure from who, from where, from what. I went to a federal training in 2003, a weapons of mass destruction course. And I had very, very high level federal instructors and a couple guys from Russia. And they told us strictly off the record that the morning of 9/11, there was far more planes that actually struck, that when they pulled everything back to the tarmac and was able to search the planes, there was multiple aircraft with box cutters and zip ties. Now, were those guys pitching their agenda I don't know. I kind of believe them because when you think about it, they almost crippled America, striking New York City, Pentagon, and Shanksville. By the grace of God, there was no population except for those souls on the plane. But think about it. If they struck 12, 15, 18 cities in the United States of America simultaneously, we're done because we have no resources. Our resources were tapped to go down to these two places, Pentagon and the towers. But if they hit Houston, Chicago, LA, Dallas, Detroit, Washington, D.C., multiple cities, what the hell would have happened? Would have been civil unrest because there'd have been no resources to do the normal police fire response work. The military would have been totally tapped out. The federal agencies would have been totally tapped out. What are we doing to prevent it? And again, this has nothing to do with politics right now, but this is just common sense. I'm reading articles that are saying that there's people linked to bad people, terrorists, this and that, coming right over the border down in Mexico right now. Because we don't want to offend anybody. We don't want to tell everyone they can't come in. I got no problem when people come in the right way, but I want to know who they are, right? It's like, you wouldn't hire me to do security for you or business for you or without knowing who I was. So we're letting people in. We have no idea who they are. They may have dubious intentions. That frightens me. That scares me a lot.
I do hear you. And another telling fact was a year after 9/11, they've been shut down many fire stations as well, firehouses. And the number was even lower.
I think it was 7 or 8 of them.
Yep. Yeah. And while the population is growing, so I do hear you.
Yep.